Hey guys, what's up? I know I've been on kind of a tear lately making videos. I've been having a lot of fun, and I've noticed some people commenting. I think the pending release of Elden Ring has got everybody enthused. I see a lot more people coming back to play Dark Souls 3 in preparation. I've been having a blast lately. And here, you may have seen Mocha's video already. If you haven't, I'll provide a link to it in the description. But we decided to run like a little non-twink gang here. Actually, I guess it's not that little. There's three of us, but we decided to run a non-twink gang here. And we set ourselves some rules about the souls we could use and how we would buy things, essentially treating the game as if we were new players and only being able to buy things that we could actually afford with the souls that we got from killing PvE or from killing invaders. Now, unfortunately, I accidentally sort of broke the rule here because you can see I've got almost 50,000 souls on me. That came from my leftover use of one of the soul packets I bought from Honest Merchant, and I forgot to kill myself and get rid of them. But I ended up not using them to keep in the spirit of this. So there's a lot of things, even like moss that I would normally have gotten, like 99 of everything on this build. I don't have any moss on my build at all at the moment. I think I fix that later and I go buy some. But you can see here, it's Mocha's the host here. That'll change in a bit. Posse's the Phantom with the katana. And then, of course, I'm here with the scimitar. And I have to say, setting up a gank here with non-twinks really gives the twinks the best advantage they could possibly have, because there is such a huge disparity in the amount of damage that we're pumping out versus the amount that they're pumping out. And here I get a couple of good reads in a row where my opponent's going to go for like a turn and burn or a parry. And if you can get a read like that, you start the attack right as they come out of their roll, and you end up sucking them right into a backstab. But just for like kind of comparison's sake, this guy here, I'm doing so little damage to him. I think I'm hitting this twink for like 35 damage a pop. And I did some calculations where if you assume this guy has only 6 Estus, assuming he's got the 7th in blue Estus, and the amount of healing he has, I would have to hit him, if it were just by myself, I would have to hit him 135 times to kill him. It's really just a crazy differential. Unfortunately here, he is using DSA, but he's not using lightning bundles. If he were using lightning bundles, he probably would have killed me right there. I only have 2 Estus here in Mocha's world, plus 0 Estus. They're only healing for 250 a pop. It's worth mentioning that Estus upgrades have diminishing returns, but like the first 3 or 4 upgrades in particular are massive. You really want to get those early bone shards. So by not having any bone shards at all, I'm really hamstringing myself here. And it's kind of cool because if you only get, let's say, like 6 or 7 of the 10 upgrades, if you're a new player, you're certainly not going to find them all. Well, the developer still has to be able to balance the game. And the way they do that is by ensuring that like the last 3 or 4 upgrades have virtually no effect. In fact, I believe the upgrade going from 0 to 1 in bone shards is greater than all the upgrades put together, going from like plus 6 or plus 7 all the way up to plus 10. It's really not very much of a difference at all. So as it turns out, in this particular session, I don't think, actually we did encounter one cheater. I didn't include him in this clip, but I think Mocha included it in his video. And you can actually see I ended up kicking that invader out using blue sentinels. And just kind of a note for everybody, if you're playing on PC and you play online, you absolutely have to be running blue sentinels. I was actually thinking about doing a video about blue sentinels and kind of all the options, and I know there's been a bit of controversy, especially around the ability to kick people out of your world for glitching, but you don't have to have that functionality turned on, and I believe it's actually disabled by default. So by default, you're not going to kick anybody out for using glitches. It's really up to you and how you feel about it as a host, whether you want to use those things, but the ability to kick players out for cheating is really key. And the tool protects you from a number of exploits, including a number of exploits that still are not in the wild. And I don't want to go into too much more detail about it here. I think I may go into more detail about it if I do a video about blue sentinels, but just make sure you run it, guys. I know when I invade people, I think fewer than 5% of people are running blue sentinels. So this twink here, this is actually his second invasion. We put him down reasonably quick the first time around. He's pretty latent, so challenging his greatsword is really risky. And obviously I'm at a point where I have no more Estus at all. the fights have bled me out. Of course, only having 2 of them is a problem. Later, I end up using, I think it's Heal Aid. I think if you watch Mocha's video, you'll see him using it as well. And one of the great things about doing that is it allows you to take advantage of your blue Estus, because with so few Estus, you really have to take advantage of everything you have. And every time you kill a red, if you don't have blue Estus, you only get 1 Estus back. But by virtue of having regular Estus and blue, you then get 2 Estus back, which makes your healing much more efficient. And that heal aid doesn't really do much, but even what little it does is hugely important. So this guy's playing pretty mindlessly. He's really letting his build carry him. And this is really a reason I don't recommend playing with a twink character like this at low level, because either you're going to be maybe somewhat evenly matched against the home team, or you're going to dramatically overpower them and your build's going to carry you. In fact, he kills me here in a moment, and it's entirely due to his build, and that was a bit of a sloppy play there at the end on my part. So here we've progressed into Undead Settlement, and you know, it's funny, running a gank, I can really see why gankers are bad players, because the gank affords you so many advantages. It really encourages a lot of sloppy play, and similarly, these twinks have a lot of advantages with their builds against new players, and so it also incentivizes some bad and sloppy play. And you can see going for a parry there where it was very easy to read. The same guy reinvades us, and he's standing here waiting for us to approach the PvE, which I do not blame him one bit. I would absolutely do the same thing if I were him. But, you know, invading in these areas, I feel like it's not going to teach you enough. You're not going to encounter very good players most of the time. And in fact, in my experience, I do see good players occasionally at low level. I see good players twinking, but usually it's in the swamp, like almost never elsewhere. And you can see there I had to run in and try to save Mocha because he was getting gangbanged by the PvE and both of the invaders. So yeah, so really my advice is for new players out there, don't invade here. Again, you're just either your build's going to carry you, or you're going to get really frustrated by the really nasty ganks that are there. Just stay away from here. Go to the woods if that's what you want to do. And again, by tailoring your soul level, you can kind of control whether you're invading PvEers, which is certainly what you want to do when you're learning. The ganks are going to be too tough and too frustrating. And then as you gain experience, you can start to ratchet up your soul level. And so here now we're finally in the woods. Now I'm actually on a different build here. I'm not on the same build I was on before. So technically this build has not adhered to the same strict sort of rules that our other builds did. Like this is a non-twink for sure. He doesn't have anything twink on him. But I did use Honest Merchant to use souls. And maybe buy some things that I might not otherwise have been able to afford on this build. But the fact that it's not twinked at all definitely gives these invaders an edge up. And I know Mocha talks about this in his video. You know, our goal was to try to give the invaders a good time, and also and in part do that by not really overbuilding our characters or abusing matchmaking and the like. And we kept things challenging and fun for ourselves. But, you know, even with just 3 of us, like if there had been 2 of us, when we had some of the good invaders show up, it would have been very challenging for 2 players without having twink builds. But having that 3rd player here, even though we're not twinked, and you can see some pretty sloppy play for me here just to finish off that watchdog. But it really kind of overpowered us. And so we split things up. You know, we didn't run everybody down and just kind of gank the shit out of them. It was pretty balanced, I would say. The better players, especially the ones really twinked, we piled up on a bit more. And there you can see the value of poison. That red was just about to heal. Like he would have healed in another second or so there because I got caught up by the NPC watchdogs. Ran into a lot of interesting player types, player archetypes. Like this guy just kept continually trying to bait us into the PvE, which is a good strategy, but you kind of have to go about it slowly and carefully. You can't just run off to the PvE and expect that we're going to chase you, especially when there's other invaders coming and going. There's just no percentage in following you off to the PvE unless you're like at really low health and you're the only one left. That's how you bait a party into aggroing a bunch of PvE. And here you can see some really bad play from me. And I don't know if this guy was cheating. I don't think he was, but he did so much more damage than I expected. And he really catches me off guard. In fact, I didn't realize at this point how low my health was until like right about here. and he's pressuring me with the curved sword, and then unfortunately I trade like another time into his weapon art, which ended up costing me the fight. But I think he had that thing dark infused. I'm not totally sure. I'd have to go back and look at the footage, but he ended up killing Posse too. I'd be really curious to know if that was a legit build or not, just again due to the overwhelming amount of damage. And this guy's using a bleed build with the spiked mace, which is a pretty good build at low level. You can see here, I should have mossed. Actually, I don't think I have moss on this build, so maybe I couldn't have mossed. Actually, maybe I do. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, it was something to consider once you start getting like a status buildup like that, especially bleed that can come out of nowhere and take off a tremendous amount of health. It took me a minute to kind of get dialed into this guy's playstyle. You know, you learn, you know, how likely are people to attack out of hit stun? How likely are they to panic roll? You start making these reads and you get better and better, and then you can sort of start to force them and funnel them into a particular playstyle where you can capitalize on their predictable play. Okay, guys, that about wraps it up for this video. I actually have a bunch of videos I'm working on. I felt more interest in this game lately than I have in a really long time, which is exciting. I'm sure it's the release of Elden Ring coming, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. Take care now.